Well, for more, joining us live is Senior Research Fellow for Naval Warfare and Advanced Technology at the Heritage Foundation and former Navy Captain Brent Sadler. Brent, thank you very much for joining us. I guess that is the big question, what next? And we've got the court charges with Nicolas Maduro and his wife set tomorrow, your time, but also, as we just heard there, potential immigration, potential flare-ups and that flow-on. What are you expecting?
Well, I mean, if the current regime under the interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, the former vice president, if they follow their own constitution and it's determined that they're not going to be getting Maduro back anytime soon, which I think is a logical conclusion to come to, they follow their own constitution. In 30 days, they should have elections. And if those elections are free and fair, perhaps they'll get the rightful or more legitimate leader in the country, and perhaps Venezuela would take a peaceful change of course. I give that very slim odds, given all the stakes by the very corrupt regime that's in place, and certainly the interest of China, Russia, and Iran that are also at stake for allowing such a course. And certainly, if they were elections, that they would again be a repeat of what we saw in 2024, and why many of these people in this regime, including the current interim president, are sanctioned from traveling to the EU, the US, and many countries throughout the world because of her hand behind the repression and the illegal or the illegitimate election that occurred in 2024, amongst other things. So what's next? The court and the legal process will play out in the United States. The president for that, of course, is General Noriega's case in 1989. It's a slow process. The political process in Caracas, I think, is the fastest one. The military, I think, is on pause, but it is certainly not turned down yet at all.
There is that talk, isn't there, and the divide between people saying that the capture was illegal, but then you do hear many people, including world leaders, saying that Nicolas Maduro was an illegitimate president.
Well, it's not the issue that he's illegitimate that makes this legal or illegal. The reality is that Venezuela under Maduro, who, he is in place illegitimately, has been acting against the United States and many American deaths over many, many years. He has continued to conspire to expand the drug trade and also violence directly on American streets. So I would say this is first and foremost an act of U.S. national security and U.S. national interest. Quite frankly, many countries in Western Europe and the region in Latin America see it the same way. The second order of this, of course, is the legal case that you had the unsealing in 2020 that listed Maduro, his wife, and quite a long list of other members of this regime that are still in place that had a direct hand in this illegal narcotics terrorist organization directed against the United States. So first tier, national security. Second tier is the legal aspect.
And then many people also saying other countries are on watch. Cuban president saying that we are prepared to give blood for Venezuela. And we heard Secretary of State Marco Rubio talk about Cuba just a couple of hours ago. He said the Cuban government is a huge problem, in a lot of trouble. And he then said that there's no mystery that the Trump administration are not fans of the Cuban regime, that they are propping up Maduro. So what do you make of those comments by Marco Rubio?
No surprise. And quite frankly, Cuba was the one that nurtured and propagated Hugo Chavez, and they've got the security detail that's around Maduro. And so it's very likely that the Cubans, certainly the security detail, may have actually already shed blood in defense of Maduro's regime when he was actually captured by U.S. forces. We'll find out if that's true. But Cuba has been on its back foot for the last several years, and perhaps the worst economic situation in many decades for that communist regime. So they are hurting, and the loss of the oil that they get from Venezuela, the weakened economic support that they've been able to get across Latin America, but foremost from Venezuela, could be just enough to tip that regime into collapse. Certainly the people of Cuba are also aching for a change of regime there as well. So we'll see if a trend sweeps Latin America, clearing these socialist regimes, corrupt socialist regimes out.
Brent Sadler, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.